Welcome, everyone, to the Magnetically Aligned Woman. Today, I have Jennifer Nagel, which is an online and certified personal trainer for women over 30 who want simple nutrition and fitness solutions that they can be strong, feel energetic, and live healthy lives. Through her signature program, The Body Blueprint, macros to meals in minutes, and free online community, Modern Women Getting Fit. She's here to shake up what you think you know about health and fitness, all the while making it feel simple and easy. Her practical advice has been featured in MyFitnessPal, POPSUGAR Fitness, and Vital Proteins, and she's recognized as one of well plus good fitness experts. I'm so excited to have you, Jennifer. Thank you for being on today. And I'd love to know a little bit more about like your journey and how you got into what you do today.
Yeah, well, thank you first, Nikki. I'm so excited to be part of this event. And it was just so amazing to have met you and connected with you. But yeah, let me tell you a little bit about my story because it's kind of, I think it's an interesting one and maybe something that people can relate to. So I first need to rewind about, oh my gosh, this makes me feel old, almost 20 years. I was just going through a divorce. I was a single parent and, life had completely changed. I was working at a major higher education institution and I just got a promotion. And that sounds amazing, right? Just got a promotion and all this stuff. But with all of the life changes and with all of the work changes, having a much more demanding job, trying to adjust to being a single parent, I was completely burnt out and not just tired, not just depressed, like burnt out. I didn't sleep. I was living off of Diet Dr. Pepper and peanut butter. um, I was worried about being a good parent and making sure life was not like my child didn't, you know, go off the deep end because her life was changing. So there's just a lot of pressure, and I went from being extremely healthy to not taking care of myself at all. And in a really short amount of time, I remember going to the doctor and them diagnosing me with high blood pressure. And I was in my early 30s at the time. So it was really scary because I was always extremely healthy. I exercised, I ate well, I took care of myself. And then in just a short amount of time, I went from that to just, being on what I call old lady pills for the rest of my life. And it scared me because I realized, I've been killing myself to be a good mom, a good employee, a good human. And in doing all that, trying to please everyone else, I was doing just the opposite. So at that point, I decided to, of course, try to make some changes because I didn't want any more old lady pills. And I started to, come back to exercise and fitness, which had always been a passion of mine. And it took a while. I'm not going to say it happened overnight, but I was slowly able to incorporate exercise, eat better, take care of myself, sleep, and cut my Diet Dr. Pepper habit. And, I realized how much I loved it. Now, I was still working and I worked for actually my career at the university was for 15 years. I didn't leave until I was there for 15 years. But I started to really venture out and get certifications, get my training certificates, and work with people. And then fast forward, me and my now husband opened a fitness studio in our town. And I really loved working with people. It really energized me in a way that my other job just didn't. But at the same time, working with people in person and still going to a 40+ hour week job and still worry about blending a family and kids was really difficult. So we closed our business for our own sanity's sake. I just said, I still wanted to do that, but how could I do that in a way that didn't kill me and that allowed me to be the person and the family member and the spouse and the mom that I really wanted to be. And I'm dating myself because online now is like, oh yeah, no big deal, but nobody was doing that at the time. So I started working with people virtually and I honed my systems. And 3 years ago, so 15 years at the university and 3 years ago, I decided to permanently make the switch and start my own online training and coaching company. And that's where my company was born. But I especially like working with women who were exactly where I was, who were exhausted, burnt out, trying to be all things to all people, not taking care of themselves. And what I really specialize in is helping those women who, we all know what to do, right? It's not that we don't have the education. We just don't know how to actually put it together. So I help with really practical advice, lifestyle advice, making sure people can carve out time for themselves so that they can really truly be in a place to pursue whatever their passion is. For me, it was starting my own business. And for other people, it could be, a number of things, but we have to be in a great place and build a foundation of health and self-care and fitness in order for us to really flourish in other areas of our lives. So that's kind of how I got started into it. This is why it's so important to me. This is a passion of mine. I'm sure I'll be doing this until they haul me off on a stretcher somewhere, but I love it.
Wow, that is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And you know, what you say is so true. When you are not taking care of yourself, then everything around you is just extra strenuous on your body on and not only does this affect your body, that affects your mind, affects your state of health and well-being and all the people around you. So I want to know like what makes you feel aligned? And
Mm.
alignment means different things. So for you, what does that mean?
Yeah, that's such a good question. And it's something I know you and I have chatted about it that I've really explored this year. And, I think for me, I've been slowly, I almost think about it as, um, like a locker combination and lining up the two pieces. And I feel like I've been slowly winding to that, full alignment piece. And maybe it's something that we never fully get to. But for me, it was about finally stop thinking about what should be and really start looking inward into what made me tick, what made me happy, what made me feel good, and what my purpose was. And it took a lot of just letting go of rules and my parents are amazing. They're not bad people, but everybody's kind of got their things. My parents taught me stuff. I had rules about, the religion that I grew up in, what was good, what was not good. So when I was in my very successful by their standards job, making a lot of money, had a really great title, it didn't feel right. I didn't want to go. I would dread going to work. And so I'm like, this can't be right. And for the longest time, I'm like, well, I just need to figure out how to love it. And then there's just a point where it clicked. I'm like, I don't need to figure out how to love it. I could totally do something else. I'll still be successful, because successful to me means waking up and enjoying going to do whatever it is that I want to do. So I take a lot of time just really pausing and taking stock and asking myself a couple of questions like, how does this feel? Um, do I feel like I'm making a difference in the world? Because for me, that was one of my big things in my entire life. I just wanted to feel like I was doing something that mattered. So, and that could look differently for other people, but for me, I'll ask, is this something that matters? Is this something that makes me feel good? Is this something that I feel like if someone were standing up at my funeral, I would be really proud to hear the words that they said about me? And then it just a lot of introspection, a lot of prayer, meditation, and I think just being very attuned with me. And so alignment for me means like when all those things are kind of moving in the right direction, it's hard to describe, but it's a feeling that no matter what happens externally, no matter if like all of a sudden someone loses a job, it's okay because I'm doing exactly what I'm meant to do. And, I believe I'm a woman of faith. So I do believe that whether you call it God or the universe, that if you are doing the things that you are meant to do, that the support will come. So, be in full transparency, this time last year, I was almost broke. I had had a very long illness. I had surgery. I, wasn't able to really nurture my business at all during that time. So, when you don't nurture something, it kind of tanks.
Mhm.
And so I didn't have any money. And we were, as a family, we were asking the question, do I need to go back and get a job? And I said to myself, you know what? And between my mom and a good coach friend of mine and my husband, I just said, I have no doubt that this is the thing that I'm meant to do in the world. So I'm just going to do it. And I'm going to trust that the resources will be there. And then a couple months later, I'm having the highest revenue months I've ever had. So to me, it's just about having faith. It's about being very honest with who you are and doing the things that make sense for that person that you are.
Wow, I love that. And like for somebody on their path to finding alignment for themselves, in terms of like how you found yours, or is there something that you can give in terms of advice or direction to feeling more aligned with yourself?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is everyone else might think you're crazy, and you're going to have to really be clear with what you want and be honest with yourself and be prepared to have people tell you that you're wrong. Because again, I mean, you potentially are pivoting from who and what you have been, and and moving into something completely new, and other people may not feel good about that, and they're in their desire to want to help you or look out for you, they might in some ways discourage you. And so I remember when I made big pivots in my life that I knew were right, everyone else around me thought I was nuts. So there's a bit of conviction that needs to happen. Or I would say, if people think I'm nuts, I'm probably doing the right thing. So again, it's really about knowing yourself so hard, loving yourself so hard that no matter what anyone else says, that you're still going to be on your path. Because when you start to change things, people around you might get a little uncomfortable, and they people who love you are going to say, Jennifer, or Nikki, I mean, I know that you're really into this thing, but what about your security? What about your benefits? What about this? And so just be prepared for people to, it's not necessarily going to be, everyone's going to be throwing a party for you. People might be really concerned. And you may not be pivoting in a big way like I did, but I'm just saying that not everybody's going to get it, and that's okay. You have to be prepared to let that go. I had to let go of some relationships that were difficult, but I'm kind of glad that I did that. So hold on one second. My nose is running. Talk about real life. Okay. I'm done.
Welcome back. And I can relate to you so much in this because when you find more alignment with yourself, it's actually straying away from what society has taught us. And oftentimes, we're so used to being conformed into society because we grew up thinking that was the right way to live. And as you go your own journey, you realize something inside doesn't feel right. So when you pivot from that, it's like all these questions start coming up like, am I moving in the right direction? That trust has to be there, that your body, your mind, it's taking you in the right direction, and whatever you believe in, the higher spirit, God, the universe, it's taking you in um, on the right path, and you have to learn. So I want to integrate this into what you do right now, which is
Yeah.
like helping women and feeling good in their body, because I find a relation in everything that you do. And for me, when I started working out, I felt connected to my body, and that actually helped me shift into what I do and what I know today, which is like, oh my God, for so long I've been so disconnected from my body. For so long I've been like so focused on other things in my life that I wasn't taking care of myself.
Mhm.
So for you, like in your clients and you personally, can you share a little bit about your own personal transformation and some of the things you help your clients do?
Yeah, I always say that exercise and nutrition is the gateway drug, meaning that it's not the end point, but my clients will always come in saying something like, "Hey, I want to lose 15 pounds, or I want to gain strength, or I want to do this." And yes, they absolutely want to do those things. And in my training and the coaches that I work with in my company, we help them get to that goal. But what's really happening is they're learning how to take time for themselves. They're learning how to put themselves first. They're learning how to prioritize things that will foundationally make them feel better. So yeah, we'll start with exercise and nutrition, but we might then talk about breathing. We're going to talk about sleep. We're going to talk about all those other things that really set up people up to make good decisions and be clearer minded and make good choices about their lives, make them feel, help them believe in themselves more, confidence. Those are the real benefits of what our company does. So we're not hyper focused. Like, you'll never see us be like, oh, we're going to do a 30-day squat challenge, because the focus is not on the outside. Yes, we want you to be healthy. We want you to achieve those physical goals. But in order to achieve those big goals, fundamentally, something's got to change. And so we start with a very, foundational approach where we want you to be in a good, healthy state of mind and body to achieve those goals. And what we found, so the best messages that I get back from former clients, and I had one who actually sent me an email this week, and she always makes me cry. I'm like, every time you send me an email, I start to cry. But she's like, I just want to thank you, Jennifer, because you've helped me really understand what this really means. And so I was always obsessing. I was always hypercritical. I was always doing this stuff. But now I've learned kind of how to create balance. I've learned how to, use tools, but then leave what I don't need. And it was just a really amazing message to get. Our clients who are doing really well, little things like, I now take the time to walk with my girlfriends at night, and that's my exercise, that's my thing, and I realize it's great. Or I realize that when I'm doing this, my kids are seeing this and I'm setting a really great example. So not only do I feel good, but my family sees what I'm doing. And they're like, one of the best things, I got a message from a client who had done some meal work with us, and she did all this stuff, but she's like, my husband was always in the background asking me questions. And I finally said, just watch this stuff with me, do this with me. And she said, and together they lost 10 pounds and they just had a good time together. So I always say that it's the gateway drug, because you're going to stop and start. I mean, you're going to start with, yeah, I need to, fill in the blank physical goal, but you're going to discover so much. You're going to discover much, much deeper benefits to just taking care of yourself.
Oh my goodness. I love that so much because as you're speaking about like how it's not about the goal, it's about like all the other things that you need to realign within yourself to get to that goal and feel good on the journey. And it just reminded me of all the diets and
Yeah.
all the 6 week challenges and 4 week challenges, trying to lose however many pounds that I've done. And I realized for some odd reason, I couldn't stick to it. And it's
Mhm.
not because, you don't know the exercises, and it's not because you don't know how to do it. It's because of the inner motivations that you have. It's like, that's not exactly what you want. What you
Right.
want maybe either having fun or going at your own pace. And of course, we want to lose all that weight and look fabulous at the end. But the intrinsic motivation was always confidence, right? It wasn't, oh, I want to lose 5 pounds. It's always like, I want to feel confident and I want to love myself. But how
Yes.
do I get there? And
Mhm.
oh, so I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. And the reason that those small little challenges and quick diets don't work is because it's a band-aid. The real reason why people, I mean, it doesn't address those deep, deep issues of why people have a hard time taking care of themselves. It just doesn't. And, it can work temporarily, but until you decide to kind of do the work, and I'm by no means a therapist, let me just say, leave that to my sister, but until you like dig deeper and do the work, and you have to get kind of raw with yourself and honest. And sometimes people are afraid to do that because they don't like what they see, or they are not ready to face that really difficult conversation. They're not ready to have it with themselves. And so, like, to me, some of the biggest breakthroughs is like, just when I'm talking to clients and you ask them one simple question and they're like, wow, I never even thought about that. I never really thought that that was something that I was dealing with. But yeah, I guess that's the truth. And just real quick, a quick story. I remember working with someone this summer, And she was making all kinds of progress. I mean, she looked fantastic. She was lifting more weight. She was, in a smaller size, which was her goal. Her husband was like, "You look fantastic," and complimenting her. And she didn't see it. She did not see it. And I'm like looking at these pictures like, "Oh, how do you not see this?" And asking, I'm like, "Well, how do you feel?" "Well, I'm sleeping better and I have more energy." And I asked her, I'm like, finally, I said, "Hey, let me ask you this, because we outlined your goals in the beginning and we are hitting every single one of these goals. The only thing that's not as dramatically different as you thought was the scale. So let me ask you this. If you were to feel healthy, if you were to be in smaller sizes, if you were to be stronger, but the scale never changed, would you feel like you were successful?" And she paused and thought, and she's like, "Actually, no, I wouldn't." And I was like, so maybe that's really what we need to think about. Like, what is it about that number that makes you feel better or worse, or worthy or not? Because it's not anything having to do with your physical performance and your progress, because you're totally there. I mean, you're far exceeding. I mean, she was a rock star. And finally, when that clicked for her, she was like, "Oh," and her journey was so much more fun. And she's still even more, she's not even working with me anymore. I got a message from her yesterday saying, "Hey, this is what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. I feel really good." So yeah.
Wow. And um, whenever I feel aligned, like I feel like everything else around me is right in the world, which leads to abundance, right? Like abundance can mean so many different things. So for you, when you feel aligned, like what does abundance look like for you?
No, that's a good question, because I was seriously having this conversation with myself this morning. It feels, I'm channeling my massage therapist slash energy person right now. It feels light. It feels like I don't have a care. I don't want to say a care in the world, but nothing will get me down. It also, for me, financially means that I don't worry. And it has nothing to do like, and I've done a lot of money work this year, and it has nothing to do with having like X amount of dollars in the bank. I don't even think I mean, it's just that there's no worry. And if I've been in places financially where we're like, "Gosh, I don't know how we're going to get to next month," or all of a sudden we have this massive hospital bill, how do we pay for it? And to me, it's like when everything's aligned, we're not worried. We're enjoying each other. I mean, and when I see each other, or my family, and we are having fun and we're laughing and we're not stressed. So when I feel aligned and abundant, I just feel light and bouncy and buoyant, and also like, I feel empowered to help people even more. I feel really creative. So it's just like there's nothing that holds me back, and I just feel like I'm completely in my power. And then it feels really, really good. So yeah, no financial concerns, no stress, feeling like I can be 100% me. And because I'm a trainer, and being like completely like injury free and active. And that's a big deal to me, because as someone who's been through a long illness, the idea of feeling really good in my body is very, very important to me, because I've been on the other side and it feels awful. So that's when I'm aligned and when things are abundant, that's how I feel.
I love that. And that, like, do you have a certain practice that you do every day to make yourself or to keep yourself in that state?
Yeah. Absolutely. So I'm a huge fan of routines, all sorts of routines. And of course, like I can't, I was chatting with you right before we hit record that my grandmother always called me wiggle worm, but movement is a big deal for me. So I have to start my day, whether it's an exercise day or non-exercise day, with movement. And in that movement is when I actually feel very peaceful and calm. That's when I can listen to books, or that's when I get my big ideas. So I start every day with some sort of movement, whether it's my formal exercise, or like this morning where I just got on the treadmill and just kind of, exhaled. And I don't even want, it's like, I don't even walk fast. I just, first of all, normally be outside, but I live in Michigan and it's icy outside. So I'm not doing that. So it was just 2 miles an hour, just kind of like strolling, enjoying that time. But that's the thing that kind of releases any kind of stress, if there was any, and helps me get clear headed and gets me set up for the day. So movement and food. I have to eat good food. And when I say good food, I'm not talking just like kale and greens and that kind of stuff, which is great. But it has to be food I like eating. I like to feel satisfied. I like to feel nourished. So, a really healthy breakfast, a really good, satisfying breakfast that tastes good, where I could sit down and just relax. So, I move and then I relax, and then I could lift mountains. I could move mountains for the rest of the day if, as long as I start my day that way. And then at night, a really small but very significant practice for me is I just close my eyes and take 3 deep breaths. And it might seem little, but I have a hard time like really meditating. I'd love to say I'm great at it. I'm not, but I know it's important. So my one little step is like, if I could just close my eyes and take 3 big breaths, I will, and it literally is almost like letting the air out of a balloon. It just like, and then I could sleep well. I feel so much better and I'm ready to go to bed for the night. So those are 2 routines that are kind of non-negotiables for me.
Oh, now I'm curious. What do you have for breakfast? Like, what?
If I go through spurts, so I'm a weird creature of habit, but I also like variety. So for the last couple weeks, my breakfast was a protein shake, Eggo blueberry waffles with almond butter. And I don't know what it is about that dang vanilla almond butter, the RX brand. So good. It's like the best dessert that I could ever have. But today I kind of switched it up because another favorite of mine is I do Greek yogurt and I love fresh berries, which are more and more difficult to find this time of year where I live. But I had a whole bunch of blackberries and blueberries in my yogurt with a little drizzle of honey, and it was fantastic. The only thing is, you have to get your dental floss out because those seeds get in your teeth so bad. But yeah, that is my breakfast, and I drink a lot of water. So I just feeling I just know how I feel when I'm dehydrated. I don't like it, so I drink a ton of water. I'm a water guzzler.
Oh my goodness. And for people who are like early into their journey or looking for improvement, is there anything they can do to feel more connected to their body? Because you say you get dehydrated. Sometimes like we're so unaware. How do we gain that awareness?
Well, it's a long journey for me anyway, but I think the first step is to let go of the rules. And this might sound weird coming from a trainer, but I think when I see people who have like, I have to lose 20 pounds by this date, or I have to follow this plan, or I have to follow this diet, it completely disconnects you from how you actually feel. So, although, yes, I think accountability is important, and I do teach methods for people to become accountable, I also want people to stop and reflect on, how does this make me feel? So, I use flexible dieting. So, I never say foods are good or bad or off limits, because someone messaged me once on my Instagram because I posted a plant based burger that they felt was horrible. And they told me that I was teaching the wrong things and I have this platform of influence and I blah blah blah. And I was just like rolling my eyes because I'm like, you know what? I wanted a damn burger. I'm gonna eat a burger, and it was fine. Um, so I believe in no restriction because I do think it's important to ask yourself, like, when you eat something, how does it make you feel? And so I actually had to reflect on that because prior, and up through 2018, I was in bodybuilding. So it was very regimented, very strict. And you start to disconnect food and feeling because you just eat because you're supposed to, or you eat this because you have to. And it took me a while after that to start asking myself, well, I don't want to eat that. Yeah, I need protein, but I don't like to eat a lot of meat. So how can I get protein in? How does this make me feel? People will be like, oh, ice cream. And the idea of ice cream sounded great. When I ate ice cream, I felt terrible. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to eat ice cream anymore. Um, or if I'm going to have a higher carb meal, I want a really good high quality brownie, really good chocolate. Because if I'm going to eat all those calories, damn it, I want it to be the best. So it was more of a let go of the rules, because if you stop and just ask yourself, Do I like this? Does it taste good? How do I feel? I think we naturally start to gravitate towards higher quality foods.
Mm.
And my favorite is I talked to someone the other day who was thinking about working with us, and I was asking her, "What do you eat for breakfast?" And she's like, "Well, I have this really great smoothie in the morning." And she began to describe all these different greens and power this and power green this and this and this dates, and it sounds great. And I asked her, I'm like, "Do you like that?" "No." I'm like, "Well, don't eat it." I'm like, "Whoa," because I was just like, it doesn't sound that good to me. But what I found is my body really started to crave good food. And so I wanted the really good piece of fish because it was perfectly cooked. And I wanted I like quinoa with this thing. And for me, my body started to I started to listen to my body, what my body was saying. I don't like red meat, so I'm not going to eat a lot of it. It doesn't make me feel good. It makes me feel heavy. And so I think, really letting go of diet rules on what you should eat, focus on what makes you feel good, letting go of the rules. Now, some people say, well, what makes me feel good are Pop Tarts and pizza. And I would say, if you actually reflect on how your body feels afterwards, it doesn't. So when you think about what actually makes you feel good, disconnecting from the rules a little bit, it's a wonderful education. And then you can start to add some education around it. And so I feel like flexible dieting macros is more about education than it is rules. And that's how I teach it.
Wow. Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And I know as we are wrapping up today, you have something for the audience. Can you
Yes.
share that with us?
Absolutely. So I know a lot of people aren't on Facebook, but in my Facebook community, we do a lot of coaching sessions and training. So we'll pick a topic that the group wants to talk about, and we'll have like a 30-minute session with things so that I want people to take away some nuggets. So we've done things like how to create the best 30-minute workout at home, and even deeper things like mindset and fitness and limiting beliefs. And so what I've started to do is archive them on my website. And we have a whole library full of these wonderful coaching sessions. And it's completely free for anyone who wants it. I gave you the link and I want you to share it with your audience because it's a great way to just start to get really great tidbits and nuggets and easily digestible chunks about how you can start to take care of yourself, whether it's food, nutrition, mindset, lifestyle. And it was really built with a person in mind who doesn't have a lot of time, who's really struggling to find time for themselves. So I hope these things are very practical and useful for everybody who is watching this today. So that's definitely my gift to you. And I encourage you to share it. It's like I said, it's free and open to everyone. One of my goals this year, I have this in my head, this mantra of 1,000 strong women. I want to help 1,000 women start their health and fitness journeys this year. And this was part of it by making sure there's a lot of free and available resources out there for folks.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. That's amazing. So for everybody listening, I will link that link so that you have access. Thank you so much, Jennifer. And before we go today, can you give us some words of wisdom or like your favorite quote that you can leave us with?
Oh my gosh, I have so many quotes, but let's go with words of wisdom. And hopefully they sound really wise. But you're never going to go wrong if you truly trust your gut. Like truly believe in yourself. Inside, there's a voice telling you something right now, whether it's about your health and fitness, whether it's about your business, whether it's about your life. No matter how scary it is, no matter how weird it seems, trust that voice, trust your gut, trust yourself. You will not go wrong.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. And for everybody listening, um, thank you for tuning in. And I cannot wait to see you guys in the next episode.
Thanks, Vicky.
Thank you.